Hi, and welcome to the So Many Things YouTube channel. I'm Tim, your host. Here you get to sew with the boys, quilt with the boys, embroider with the boys, and of course, mostly have some fun, and you might learn something along the way. Stay tuned! Hi, and welcome to Quilting with the Boys. Today we're going to play with Flying Geese. I'm going to explain to you about the fabrics we choose and how to make them easier, and how to save yourself some fabric when you do them, because they can be kind of wasteful. Stay tuned! For our flying geese, I've selected a gray for the geese's body, and I want his wings to be, or her wings, to be brightly colored in flight so that you can see them. So I picked this really kind of wild print to go with it. So from the gray, we're going to cut triangles, but we're actually going to cut squares to start with, and those squares are going to be a 5-inch square because that's how we're going to end up with our 3.5 by 6.5 inch unfinished flying geese block. So body, wings. We're going to set these aside because I've got some pieces already pre-cut for us, and we're going to lay those out and show you exactly what we're talking about. So my first ones that I'm going to lay out here are going to be my gray body. My gray body is a 5-inch square. So my 5-inch square gives me 2 flying geese bodies. Remember, the gray is the body of the geese, and I'm going to cut this in half diagonally, and that's going to give me 2 half squares. That's going to be my body for the geese. But I'm also going to lay out a 3 3/4 inch square of my print fabric for the wings. If I lay this out correctly, and I've done my cutting correctly, I can actually cut from corner through the corner to the other corner one time, do one cut, and I will actually create 2 bodies and a pair of wings. If I'm really good, I could lay out another square of this. Once again, you got to be careful with your cutting and your laying. You could actually cut enough for 2 flying geese at one time by stacking up 2 layers of the wing material. So now you can see I've got these 2 fabrics, and I've done my cutting on them to put them together. And I'm just going to show you here real quick what you end up with after you've done your initial cut. So here's half of my 5-inch square. And here I've already attached half of my 3 3/4 inch square to set my first wing on my flying geese. Remember, I started with a 5-inch square and a 3 3/4 inch square and cut them in half. It's those halves that I'm now working with to create the rest of my geese. So here's half of it, and here's the other half. Now it's important that you know when you're laying these together that these end points down here, top and bottom, need to match. This top one up here is going to be extended off. See, I've got this little extra bit of overhang there, and that's fine, we want that. So we are going to lay on our first one, we're going to stitch our 1/4 inch seam, we're going to come back and press that open, and then you're going to come in and lay on your other triangle. Now your other triangle is going to be the exact same thing. We're going to match the points down here. We don't want overhang, we don't want it to be too short. We want all the edges to match on our flying geese at this point. Except up here we're going to have this little hangover again. So that little tail that we're going to let flop over is going to be fine, because once we stitch this and open it up, we're going to come back and trim those off. We're going to talk about trimming in a minute. So I would have attached 2 of these wings to 1 geese body. That's going to give me, now keep in mind this one's all nicely pressed, that's going to give me this. Wing, wing, and a body. Here's that little tails that are hanging out, and I'm going to be trimming those off because I pressed this open. Now I also pressed my center triangle flat, so everything is pressed into the wings. This just saves me a little bit of bulk up here at the point when I want to trim and when I'm going to be sewing and quilting. So now the next step is to trim down my block, making sure it's a rectangle. We usually talk about being a square, but flying geese are a rectangle. We want it to be a rectangular shape. So we are going to take it to our cutting board, and we're going to trim off all of our little tails and making sure that it's a nice square piece for us. And it should come out to be 3.5 inches by 6.5 inches for us. That's my flying geese. Now I want to give you a little hint here on this particular one, because there are other ways to do flying geese, but I find that this one saves me about 35% on my fabric. Because the other process is to make a big rectangular piece of fabric and squares that you put on like so. This is quick and easy, except for the fact that this piece here and this piece back here become waste or extra or something to add to your stash to use on another project? Well, you might not need little triangles this small because this is how big those little triangles turn out to be. They're not the same size as these triangles, so you can't reuse them in future geese of this size. You can use them in future geese of smaller sizes, but not for the ones you're working on in this particular project. Some quilt patterns will give you purpose to use those little cutoff pieces, but I like to have as least amount of waste as possible, or better use of my money when I'm buying my fabric. So this way, remember, you're going to have a little bit more waste, as they're going to call it, but we're going to call it building to your stash with little odds and ends. All right, so now you can see there's two ways to do a geese. This one's much more cost effective in my book. This one's probably a little faster, less trimming, maybe a little less nerve-wracking for those that don't cut so well. Hope you found this helpful. Thanks for watching. It's bonus time. If you find a reference in my other videos to gossamer wings and you drop me an email at sew@sewmanythings.com, don't forget to include your email and the video you found the reference in. I'll send you a coupon that will take an additional 10% off our online store purchase of fabrics. It's combinable with any other discount you have already. So don't be lazy. Go hunt for those other videos we have. Thanks for watching.